All right. So, Tony Rehagen with her Story Studio here to talk about Turk.io with co-founder Tim Wallace, who co-founded the company with Michael Conlon. So, hey, Tim, how's it going?
Hey Tony, it's going pretty well. How you doing?
Doing all right, doing all right. I was kind of searching around on Turk.io, your new site, and kind of looking around at it. And I'm fascinated by the possibilities here of creating legislation that I could submit to my lawmaker for something I'm passionate about. But I kind of want to know, I kind of want to know a little in more detail, kind of how it's going to work. So, like, say I've got this issue that I'm passionate about. What is my first step when I go onto the website, and kind of walk me through a little bit of that first step?
Yeah, so anybody can come to our site and launch an issue for anything they care about that they want to see some sort of solution for, but they don't really know how to get started or don't know how to reach out to their lawmakers or anything like that. They can come to our site. They can hit the launch issue button, and they can post the issue from there. They can also put some funding behind that and work with others to get funding behind that as well. That funding goes to somebody who will actually create legislation on your behalf. All kinds of people create legislation on Turk.io. They're legislative aides. They're people running for office that want to show a little bit of skill set in the lawmaking process before actually being elected as a representative. They're engineers and technical writers, people you wouldn't necessarily think of as creating legislation. You don't have to be a lawyer to write a piece of legislation. A lot of people think you do, but actually most legislative aides, who are the ones mostly writing bills, most of them are not lawyers, and same goes for elected lawmakers. So all different types of people can create bills, and all kinds of people do create bills on Turk.io. So once a bill is made and that person is compensated, we make sure that that bill is making its way to the right legislature for you, whatever state you happen to be living in. And from there, it gets introduced and is off to the races to become a real law.
That's fascinating. I mean, why is that? I mean, why is that better than a call or an email or a petition? Those have worked in the past, haven't they?
Yeah, calls, emails, and petitions are all great, and I think you should still do them. They're amazing. The big problem with those is that lawmakers are getting all kinds of emails, all kinds of calls, all kinds of petitions sent their way to request time, energy, and resources for them to care about an issue, find a solution, and turn that solution into legislation. And the big issue is that lawmakers just simply can't keep up with the variety and the volume of all these requests for things that they might not be experts in that particular area of the law. Whereas coming to Turk.io, there's a higher likelihood that somebody out there is really passionate about that particular area of the law and can craft a high quality signature ready bill on your behalf that may even address your issue better than your local lawmaker could.
So this sounds like it'd be good not only for citizens but for lawmakers as well.
Yeah, that's right. It offloads a lot of the work from the lawmakers and makes their lives all that much easier to serve their constituents and serve the citizens. If you hand them a bill that's ready to go, that solves your problem, and all they have to do is make sure it is given to the clerk on the right day. That's way easier than asking to them to do all of this research. And there's been all kinds of fun issues that have been posted on Turk.io. For example, we had a issue that was posted on improving the regulation of the farming of ginseng tea. Something you wouldn't expect to be an issue somebody cares about, but this particular person cared about it a lot, and they wanted to see an improvement in their state. And again, it just reduces the amount of time that a lawmaker would have to spend understanding the nature of ginseng tea farming regulation and how to make that better, right? And hands it off and it's ready to go. And it gives the lawmakers an opportunity to see what are things that constituents out there care about that maybe aren't obvious or aren't the top 10 issues that you would think. And it not only allows you as a lawmaker to serve your constituents better, but it also makes sure that you're addressing things that people actually care about.
Sure, no, that makes total sense. And earlier you mentioned kind of a third party here, that those legislative aides. I mean, it sounds like they might have some advantages by working with Turk.io as well.
Yeah, legislative aides are a huge component of the overall legislative process. They're the inbounds for a lot of calls, requests for legislation. They're the ones who are often drafting bills. They're the ones who will often manage the legislative agenda for the lawmakers they serve. So a lot of this work to alleviate these demands for legislation is really alleviating a lot of that work from legislative aides, which is great. Again, then they are freer to put in the deep time into really solving a lot of the really complex issues. In addition to that, they can come on and be drafters on Turq.io as well. Oftentimes, lawmakers have a policy area they care really deeply about, and therefore their legislative aides have to focus on that particular policy area. But legislative aides are often passionate about many different topics, and so they can come to Turq.io and make a little money on the side, drafting bills for policy areas they typically wouldn't be able to work on.
That's awesome. That sounds fascinating. I mean, I got to get on here and check it out myself. Are there any what are the other kind of cool features that the website offers? I mean, if I'm digging into it.
Yeah, so we're a startup, so we're still getting a lot of the features up and running. One of the big things that we've got in the works right now is improving the editor tool for drafting legislation. So our aim is to make it really simple to create a piece of high quality signature ready legislation. One thing we're going to be doing with that is automatic formatting. So states will publish legislative drafting guides. That's what legislative aides and lawmakers and everybody uses to make sure that they're conforming to the right formats and showing what needs to be done, or formatting the language properly within bills. So our aim is going to be to have that done automatically through our site. So you just fill in the content as a drafter, and then it will pop out the correct format for whatever state you're drafting a bill for.
I was going to say, like, it doesn't matter what state I'm in. I mean, it seems like this is a very, very kind of local process, which is, I think that's where the rubber meets the road, right? But so does it matter what state I'm in?
Yeah, so we're operating in 49 states. I say 49 because we aren't operating in California, because California is a pretty crazy state when it comes to the legislative process. In California, lawmakers don't actually even draft the bills themselves or their legislative aides. They have a central office that drafts all bills for them, and they don't even post their legislative drafting guides. So unfortunately, there's not much opportunity for us to operate in California. But 49 other states you can get a bill created for through Turq.io.
That's fascinating. So through 49 states, I mean, you obviously you talk about the ginseng tea. You've probably seen a lot. What has it kind of revealed to you? I'm interested to know kind of what it's revealed to you about the process as it stands, and kind of what Turq.io offers that process moving forward.
Yeah, well, the big insight that we discovered over the course of creating Turq.io is a lot of the inherent bottlenecks within our legislative process. Relative to the number of people in a state, the number of lawmakers is pretty low, which means that there's just, as I mentioned before, such a variety and volume of bills that they would have to create in order to address all the needs from everybody that they just simply can't keep up. One state, Massachusetts, which is where I live now, does something really cool. They have something called a by request piece of legislation, which is different than any other state in the US. So you can actually, as a citizen, get a bill introduced basically automatically if it's written up and ready to go and formatted correctly, which makes it a super open state for citizens to get involved with, improving the law themselves. Most states aren't as open, aren't as flexible. You do need a lawmaker to sponsor a piece of legislation on your behalf. But like I said before, if you can come to a lawmaker with a piece of legislation already written up and ready to go, it makes their lives so easy compared to all these people asking them to invest so much into drafting a bill on their behalf that, it makes the process super easy to get that bill introduced.
That's fascinating. That sounds awesome. Well, man, I hope it works out. I'm going to have to get on here and start making my list of issues that I'm passionate about and start drafting some legislation to send off to my representatives.
Sounds great.
Awesome. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me. Really, really appreciate it, Tim.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tony.
All right, man. Take care.
You too.
All right.